The Soca Champions. Boom 94.
41 minutes past here, 7 o'clock. Hans and Akeem and David Degree on the Soca Champions. One for the history books right now. We welcome to the studio the Prime Minister of our beautiful Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, Dr. the Honorable Keith Christopher Rowley. Welcome.
Welcome.
Good morning. Thank you very much. Welcome to Soca City.
All right. Well, the Soca Champions, we get very crucial and very serious when it comes down to championing our music.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. So let's get into so many different things today. Obviously, we're going to talk about decriminalization of marijuana because obviously that is a hot topic right now. But I was watching something in the news this morning, and Philip Edward Alexander, he was saying that, he's sorry to the people of Tobago that the PEP has not done a political meeting in Tobago because they cannot get to Tobago. So for the people that have the perception that they can't get to Tobago, what would you say to them?
Well, I don't think Philip Alexander can get anywhere. He tried to get into Diego Martin West, and I dealt with him comprehensively in 2015. These are the politicians who are just painting our country in a way to suit their own image.
Yeah.
We have two ferries and a cargo ferry going to Tobago on a virtually daily basis. So anybody who can't get to Tobago has a bit of a problem. They're not perfect.
Yeah.
But there are two ferries going to Tobago, passenger ferries, largely going half empty except on weekends. And the cargo ferry goes every day, half empty, because the volume of the traffic that it can carry is not utilized on a daily basis. And then we have virtual and air shuttle. We have 5 planes going to Tobago on a daily basis on a schedule, because you can't provide a seat for everybody who lives in Tobago, who lives in Trinidad. But there is a service. We have 5 planes there. I'm sure there are times when we need more, and would probably add a bit more sometimes. We do have on some element of challenge, but it's not a question that you can't get to Tobago. That is just, hoping to muddy up the scene a bit more. The difficulty is not enough, so they try to add a bit more to it.
All right. What about the Toco Sea Bridge? Because we heard talks of that.
That's a little early. We have to... The ideal situation is if you could have just moved from the nearest point in Trinidad to the nearest point in Tobago. And you have to work towards that.
Yeah.
We are doing that by improving the roadway up to Toco. We are, in our plans, we want to build a port in Toco, which can handle a service from Trinidad to Tobago. And hopefully when that is done, we can use a vessel like the Galleon Passage, which will take about just over an hour to get to Tobago, and roll on, roll off. But you have to drive up to Toco to get there.
Yeah.
In a couple of weeks, I am starting the construction of the Valencia to Toco Road. That's an upgrade that's going to take place. And of course, we have the highway from Komoto to Manzanilla, which is underway.
Right.
So we're building into the eastern part of Trinidad, which is pretty much a left out area in the country. But if you remember that we started doing this from Barataria.
Yeah.
The highway in the highway from Port of Spain to Barataria started to replace the Eastern Main Road over time since the 60s. And over time you build and build and build. So we have a highway now all the way to Wallerfield, right? And you just keep extending it. And the more you extend it, you bring the country, into the national economy.
Yeah. And all being part of one. Other than that, when it comes down to Tobago, a lot of people have been talking about the Sandals project. Now, some people haven't followed it at all, and they don't really understand.
Well, those are the people who are in the best position to talk about it. Because, they don't know, and then they say, I don't know, so therefore.
Yeah, but what would you like people to know and understand about the entire process? What went right, what went wrong, and what we should know moving forward?
Well, what we should know moving forward is that we always talk about the need to diversify the economy, meaning that we should not continue to rely only on oil and gas. There are other things that we can and should do. And the more of those things we do, the more we insulate ourselves from the downsides of the collapse in the oil and gas price, which happens every so often.
Yeah.
So if we say we need to do that, one of the things we always say we need to do is to get more involved in tourism. And that is not unknown to us because all of our Caribbean neighbors, all are making an interesting and good living utilizing tourism, whether it is Barbados, Antigua, Barbuda, Grenada, St. Vincent. They're all into tourism. They don't have the luxury of oil and gas revenues as we have. So tourism does support the people. Tobago has, again, we've agreed on that. Tobago does have certain attributes which can be very useful in promoting Tobago and by extension Trinidad and Tobago as a destination for visitors. And in Tobago we also have Trinidad, which can provide local visitors into Tobago as part of the country. So if we agree on that, the next thing we have to agree on is to do it in such a way that it can make that contribution that we hanker after. Tobago has been in tourism for quite some time at a low level. And the bulk of the economy in Tobago now is run by funding from the central government through the Tobago House of Assembly. That cannot be an acceptable state of affairs, especially when, when I grew up in Tobago, all my school days, the population of Tobago remained pretty much stationary because a lot of Tobagoans left Tobago and came for opportunity in Trinidad. But since the Tobago House of Assembly came into being and other developments, most Tobagoans are still in Tobago and you don't have that go to Trinidad automatic as in my time. So you have a large number of young people in Tobago who need opportunity, whose fortunes are tied up in the creation of opportunity. And that opportunity cannot just be by looking for a THA minimum wage job, which they now call morning work in Tobago. You have to do things that will give Tobago young people in particular opportunities to grow into and to develop themselves to a successful level. And the area that provides some of that is tourism. And that's where the Sandals came in. Sandals is a brand, it's a world brand. It happens to be a Caribbean brand out of Jamaica. It started in Jamaica and it's spread across the Caribbean. But the people who support Sandals come from all over the world. Because the brand it's a luxury all-inclusive brand where you pay one set of money at a slightly higher level than normal and you come there and you get everything for that one payment.
Don't have to leave. You don't even need to leave.
If you don't want to leave, you don't leave. Some people want that. Some people want to go there and not leave. Because they provide on site what they want, whether it's peace and quiet or other things on site. Others want to leave. Others want to go and experience what is available around them, whether it is deep sea fishing, snorkeling, diving, cultural shows, whatever it is. So, but the success of Sandals is that their model is that they cater for couples. Wherever you are in the world and you're a couple and you want to go somewhere with your spouse or partner, the Sandals model in hotel is for couples. And then a lot of those couples want to get married. Right? So they have an adjunct hotel called Beaches, where if you're going to get married and your family and friends are coming, they stay at Beaches and the couple stay at Sandals. And that's the model that Sandals has used and the world has caught on to it. So all over the Caribbean, you have some territories have 2, 3, 4 Sandals, right? We have none, right? The very latest of that was Grenada, where the La Source Hotel was taken over by Sandals and expanded and is going guns, right? But of course, if you want a piece of that model, then only Sandals can give it to you, right? We have the Magdalena Hotel in Tobago, and it's failing and costing taxpayers an arm and a leg just to operate because you don't have the wherewithal to bring people in to occupy those rooms. What we do now, we pay airlines to fly to Tobago and bring seats and hope that those seats are filled by people but how much of that can you do? We're losing money doing that. But the Sandals model, because it has been so popular worldwide, wherever it puts that model down, anybody looking for that experience would automatically look at one of the destinations.
Just see.
So unless we are one of those, unless we are a Sandals destination, we will not benefit from all those people who are looking for that experience. And of course, because there are people looking for it and taking it, the airlines fly to take them there. And that allows you to have in your territory a heavier inflow of air traffic, right? And if you look at what's happening in Grenada, you look at what's happening in Cayman, Antigua, people come in because Sandals is there. And they use it. And another thing too, that brand has a lot of returnees. So if you go to Sandals in Antigua, next time you want an experience, you don't go back to Antigua, you want to go to Jamaica or you go to Grenada.
Yeah.
So if Tobago was in the mix, a lot of these Sandals returnees will then see Tobago as the next place to go because they haven't been there. They have a 57% return of visitors. So all of this, and all we were doing in Tobago was the government and possibly some private sector investment, because we always said we are open to encouraging private sector to invest. It's a business. And because it's a money-making business, if done properly, you can borrow money, establish the business, service the loan from the business. And it is that which will attract the private sector to get involved.
Right.
But before we got to the stage of the private sector getting involved, we were still on the ground doing the foundations of it. We ran up against all the, just negatives all over the place. And eventually the Sandals people decided, look, we have to protect our brand from this because we are having to defend ourselves from things that we have not done. I don't know if you at the end of the year, there was one media house that did this end of the year
Wrap up kind of thing.
and I was listening to it. And I was really incensed when I heard these people describing their end of the year production as the Sandals scandal.
Wow.
What the hell was the scandal in the government trying to build in Tobago? Because if the government doesn't build it, the private sector in this country has shown that it wouldn't build it. And that's why the government built the Magdalena, because we agreed that Tobago needed more hotel rooms and a modern hotel.
Yeah.
And if the government didn't build the Magdalena, Lowlands Estate would still be a sheep's pasture. It's the same thing like the Hilton.
Okay.
Right? So in our economy, in our society here, if there are many things, if the government does not do it, it doesn't get done. If the government did not buy Texaco, we would have had no Petrotrin.
Yeah.
If the government didn't build Point Lisas, the thousands of jobs down there now and the business that runs this country's lifeblood now wouldn't be there. So we understand that there are times when the government has to go in front and do it so that the people can get the benefit.
All right. So, Honorable Prime Minister, we both agree for now that the Sandals project isn't going forward. Is there any thoughts on reinvesting in local hotels in Tobago?
Well, as I said, it's a business. Whatever you do in Tobago is not as a result of whether Sandals is done or not.
Okay.
The pull-out of the Sandals family from the interest in Tobago does not change the idea that Trinidad and Tobago, especially Tobago, needs to get its act together and get on with trying to become a positive destination.
All right, for those of y'all just listening, just locked on, it's the Morning Pump. Hans, Akeem, and David Degree in with us today. The Honorable Prime Minister, Dr. Keith Rowley, is here with us. In your discussion just now, you mentioned, for example, the Petrotrin scenario, right? A lot of people would like to hear from you. Like, what would you say to Petrotrin workers and others that have been retrenched and their families at this point?
Well, that again was fixing a problem that was rather serious, and we are in the process of fixing it. It's not going to be painless. If you are directly involved, like a worker or a family member, it is an adjustment that you are required to make. I don't know that there's an option because it's happened. So I think if you are still part of the workforce, you would continue to look for a job. The new arrangements will allow some jobs, not the same amount that we had before, because we are reducing the number of persons and try to make it more efficient so that we don't get in the same situation of cost overcoming revenues. So quite a few people will get jobs. Maybe not the same job you had before. Maybe not the same salary you had before, but there are going to be opportunities because we are remaining in the oil business.
Okay.
In fact, we have changed the model from what was going on in Petrotrin to a model now where in the heritage we are going to be intensifying our effort to produce and sell oil.
Okay.
We are not refining oil at the moment because we stopped refining because that was where the real problem was. We were importing oil to keep our refinery going and losing money on every barrel of oil we were importing. That couldn't go on forever.
Of course.
Imagine every day we were importing approximately 100,000 barrels, and that's US dollars, and losing $7 a barrel every day. I mean, we did that for a while, and eventually the forecast was that this would not change in any serious way going forward. And all the analyses show that if we continue, we would have been losing 2 billion Trinidad and Tobago dollars a year going forward. So we had to do something to change that. So now we're going to be we're making the refinery available to somebody else who is in a better position to refine. Maybe somebody who owns oil and need a refinery, somebody who has money and wants to make money by refining, or whatever. So we expect that somewhere in the not too distant future, the refinery will be operated again, but not by the taxpayer of Trinidad and Tobago.
Okay.
And that's the big difference.
Okay. And it sounds like a lot of the private sector investment isn't there in Trinidad and Tobago.
Well, our private sector is not very large in the scheme of things, like buying a refinery and so on. But we do have significant private sector strength.
Right.
But given our cultural antecedents and our various agendas, and I'm not making this up, our private sector has not been great in taking risks in going into businesses that they haven't been accustomed to.
Right.
And therefore, the investments that are required to take us forward are not likely to come from the private sector. It's only in recent times you would have seen any aspect of our local private sector getting involved in the production side of hydrocarbons in Trinidad and Tobago. Before that, it was all foreigners, and it made good money for them. But the private sector had some involvement in service industries.
Yeah.
There are some business houses in Trinidad and Tobago. You would see them making great positive statements about how well they did in profits for the year.
Yeah.
What you do not normally see in that conversation was, okay, we are reinvesting XYZ into expanding our business into so and so. So every year you make a profit and it's distributed, and that's it. We'll try and make some more next year in a similar vein.
Yeah.
But the reinvestment side, the risk-taking, the creating of new businesses, you don't get that. And that's why young people in Trinidad and Tobago have to be very careful who they follow and whose conversation they're impressed by. Because what this country has to do is to wake up and pay attention to creating opportunities for young people. Because your world is different.
Right.
Your world is different. You are in the world now of technology, and your expectation is different to mine. When I was growing up, my first job paid me $169, and I was quite happy to have that job, and it was a big job.
A month?
A month. $169 a month.
Wait.
So, and then I moved to another job that paid me $225 a month. That was a big pay increase.
Yeah.
And then I moved to another job later on when I had a degree, and that job paid me $575 a month. So that's how the country developed.
Yeah.
You now, with your expectation of this techno-crazy world, you don't want to get in any line to line up to pay a bill. You want to pay that bill on your phone. You don't want to go and license your car by going to a department and going through all this rigmarole that goes with that, and old forms and old books. You want a license in office that you go to the airport and you see a guy comes to the counter and he puts his phone
on it,
and he's checked in.
Yeah, that's it.
That is your world. Yeah. And that is where this government is taking the country for young people, because you all are in the majority now.
Right.
And we are making decisions. We have to make decisions now for your world. Unfortunately, a lot of the conversation is that backward looking into our world of the past. So when somebody tells you Tobago's tourism should be a laid back version and sandals is bad for Tobago, that conversation that says if you have sandals in Tobago, sandals will take away what little the other hotels have in Tobago, is completely wrong. As a matter of fact, the models have shown that once you have a sandals in Tobago, with the coming of those airlines, those who are there get more people coming to them.
Yeah, because what somebody was explaining to me is first class tickets. Once the first class tickets are sold out, right, which is mainly most of the Sandals customers, right? The rest of the plane could go for however cheap, because
they want to fill every seat.
Yeah.
And again, with your technology, you could stay on your phone and wait at a particular time and get the seat that you want at a fraction of the cost of the person who booked earlier.
Correct. Yeah.
That's how the airline business goes.
Yeah, yeah.
And then the tour operating business. The technology now is not somebody coming on the airport and asking the taxi driver, where can you take me? Which hotel can you take me to?
Nah, it's none of that.
The most successful little hotel in Tobago now is one that is marketing itself. Its owners market their rooms on the internet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they talk to their customers on the internet. And by the same token, if you don't provide a good service, the world knows that you're a bad place.
Yeah.
They take to Facebook immediately.
And you're in trouble.
Yeah.
Because 2 years or 10 years after, somebody wants to go to Tobago and they look you up.
Yeah.
And they see that comment.
And they see a 2 stars.
Yeah, right.
They see a 2 stars and not 4.
So those of us who are making decisions now
Yeah.
have to be cognizant of that. And the decisions have to take that on board. Otherwise, you are going to get in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
And that is why the whole e-government initiative is to ensure that we move you, not move me. I'm good with my phone making a call and receiving a call and
So you don't use WhatsApp?
Yeah, I mean,
Facebook, Instagram?
Not Instagram. a lot of people, Instagram and Facebook have caused a lot of people to get into trouble that they didn't want to get into.
Oh, wow.
But I use my phone to work and to communicate at the base level. So I use WhatsApp, I use SMS, and I hardly
You still texting? People don't text anymore, Dr. Rowley.
Yeah, some of us still do it.
Do you have Twitter? You have
no.
Twitter, Baja?
No,
Twitter.
there's a gentleman who get himself into trouble with Twitter.
Right.
No, it's what happened. Because of where I function and continuously like that, my phone is off all the time.
Correct.
I can't stop in the middle of a meeting to say hello, how you going? But I can respond to a text.
Right.
So my phone is on all the time, receiving. So it's a great thing to be able to use SMS and text and WhatsApp. Because I'm contacted.
Yeah.
And I don't lose the contact.
Yeah.
But if you had phoned me and I had to answer,
Yeah.
I mean, I go from one meeting to another. Sometimes I get up in the morning and I'm like, take a Monday morning and I start a meeting at 8 o'clock. And another one, and by 3 o'clock I'm still having meetings. I haven't answered a call. But in between, I would have responded to a number of
WhatsApp.
contacts on WhatsApp.
Okay.
Whether from a minister or a member of the public. So the technology allows that. Right?
Or even your family too. Your family messages you during the day a lot.
Not really. My family complain that I'm out of touch during the day.
Serious?
My wife thinks that. My wife will tell you that she's grown up with me, not doing the niceties that husband and wife do during the day.
And that was one of the things we wanted to actually talk to you about. What is the daily life other than meetings? Well, matter of fact, what is the daily life of the Honorable Dr. Keith Rowley?
It depends on which day. Let's take on Monday. I start off on Monday morning meeting some ministers. I will tell them before who I want to meet with. And they come to the residence. And we meet and we one particularly the Minister of Finance. I try to meet with the Minister of Finance every Monday morning. And other ministers, depending on what's going on. And I would meet with them and go through the government's issues, or what you would call what's trending.
Yeah.
Or what we have to trend off or head off. And by 10 o'clock, that group of meetings will be over. And they go off to Finance and General Purposes Committee meeting, which takes place between 10 and 11:30. That's a group of cabinet ministers who handle matters of finance and general business of the government in preparation for the cabinet on Thursday. So I usually will do that until about at least midday on Monday. And then after that, now I start dealing with other things on my own priority list.
Okay.
Right.
And that would take me probably until 5 o'clock.
No, I noticed they didn't call lunch yet.
I don't usually have lunch.
Wow.
Whoa.
I actually, if you go to my office in St. Clair, they will tell you that I've never had a meal in that office.
What?
Wow.
I have a little fridge with biscuits and cheese.
Bricks and cheese, boy. Back to the basics.
Yes, boy.
Yeah,
Back to the
because
basics.
What happens is that in between these things, you grab a biscuit and I have a little piece of cheese and you swallow that down and you keep going.
Yeah.
And it's not uncommon that sometimes I have my first meal 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And I don't eat by the clock.
Oh, okay.
I've been like that all along. I eat when I'm hungry. And that, in my household, that is so.
Okay.
So if you come to our house to spend the weekend, you might starve.
Oh, wait, that I invite us.
We just take things very
So-
personally, you know.
Yeah. So then, like say on a Tuesday morning, usually at nights I get to bed about sometime after midnight.
Yeah.
1 o'clock. Between 1:30 to 2 o'clock I go to bed. On a Tuesday morning I'm up at 5 o'clock, and I leave home at 5:20, 5:30, and I get to the golf course by the first light. I play 9 holes, and I come back home at 8:15, and I go to work.
Okay.
On a Tuesday and sometimes on a Thursday morning, depending on how my cabinet night goes. If the Wednesday night goes well, my cabinet paper. So Wednesday night is reserved for dealing with cabinet papers. Thursday morning in cabinet goes until about 1:30.
Yeah.
Then I start meeting with ministers again, because there are ministers who have issues and need to see me.
Okay.
So that goes on until about 5 o'clock, and then that ends Thursday evening. Sometimes on a Tuesday I get down to my constituency, where it's usually out in the street somewhere, something in the constituency. Lots of times I get knocked off from that by something else that has come up requiring attention.
Yeah.
Friday is reserved for Parliament, so I don't book anything unless I know that there will be no Parliament.
Right.
But usually that's when Parliament meets. And then Friday morning, there are preparatory things if you have to prepare for Parliament. And then that leaves you only Saturday and Sunday.
Right.
So
Here now. So, okay, we know you're a family man. We know you have your daughters, and we know you have your grandkid now. Let us know about giving away your daughter's hand in marriage. And also, I also need to ask something with reference
Something
to
else.
the husbands. Yeah, but let's go with that question first.
Let me deal with the daughters first.
Yeah.
How did that feel?
It's interesting that you should ask that, because people don't normally pay attention to that side of things.
Of course not.
Well, we actually try to pay plenty attention.
Of course not. I'll be honest with you.
what-
Like
what-
a lot
what
of
you
people,
asking me? What
a
you
lot of
asking
people
me?
don't really see you as a
As a
person.
human, yeah,
you know that.
a regular human.
You notice that, right? Like a lot of people don't see you as like a human being who's do like, hey, I'm gonna play golf, I'm gonna exercise, I'm gonna lie with my wife, I'm gonna check my grandson, or they don't see it like that.
Yeah, pretty sure like plenty people were
Yeah, they don't
shocked
see
that
that.
you even play golf. You know?
Maybe we're shocked you even come here.
I've played all kinds of sports. I played a lot of cricket when I was younger. I played football, club football.
You still play
Really?
cricket when you go Mason Hall and stuff. There are pictures of you playing cricket.
That's just strange.
As I suppose.
I played squash, I played badminton, I played tennis for years.
Wow.
I still belong to Tranquility Club. I used to belong to
Wonderful.
Corona Club.
He went tranquil. That's why he's like wonderful.
Tranquility Tennis Club.
I don't know. What's that tranquility?
What's that
Which
tranquility?
is the neighboring club, Tranquility School.
Yes, and that's good enough.
And you know what's between both of that?
Balize House.
All right.
That's wonderful. That alone is wonderful. That alone as a tranquil student is wonderful.
But I want to get back to giving away your daughter's hand in marriage.
How did that feel as a father more
It's
so?
a very sobering experience. It's a day in your life that you're happy it has happened, but it's flavored with happiness and tinge of sadness. But for me, I've done it twice, and I would say that those 2 days were among the better days in my life. And I must thank my wife for saving the day.
Wow.
Left to me alone, my daughters would have been in real trouble, because I've been in this politics now for 30 odd years. My daughters were born into it,
Yeah.
and it has impacted upon them, but they have been able to cope with it because their mother stepped in and provided them with that family support that they needed, which I couldn't support. I missed my daughter's graduation in Barbados. When Tanya graduated, I wasn't there. There was something happening here in Trinidad politically. I think it was in the middle of an election campaign, if I'm not mistaken. And I missed that. My closest cousin to me, who now lives in California, I missed her wedding because that was the time when we had the Ocasio policy. I couldn't leave the country. So you pay some very high prices for your family. It takes a beating if you have done as much as I've done in public life. And my wife will tell you, I mean, that I think she has been lots of things that a wife would look forward to. Like as you just mentioned, the conversation during the day.
Yeah.
Sometimes we're in touch and I'm very short with the conversation because there's somebody in front of me or there's something I'm handling and I say, I'll talk to you later. And eventually she's come to the conclusion that, well, you don't talk to me during the daytime. It's not that I don't want to talk to her, but things are coming at you so thick and so fast that you don't have time to lay back and say. But you're told by the psychologist that you must do it. Find time to be able to interact with your family. Because I'll tell you this finally, notwithstanding all the things that happen in this political arena, for people like me who are involved in, at the end of the day, only thing you have left is your family.
Real talk.
Only thing you have left.
I really like family, you know. I really like family talk. Okay, but speaking of it, so the people that came into your family, your daughter's husbands, are they intimidated by you?
No, sir, I'm not intimidating. I'm very pleased that my daughters have found two young men who are, what should I say, very well brought up young men who have chosen my daughters as their spouse. And I'm very proud of them. I'm proud to have them as my own son.
Nice.
Wonderful.
Beautiful. All right. Dr. Keith Rowley is inside with us on the Morning Pump on Boom 9 for the Soca Champions. We're going to take a break. When we come back around, we're going to talk decriminalization of marijuana and what it means for us as a country.